I used to be like the legalist Baptist, and I would see somebody talking about something, and they would decode reality based on music or movies or something like that, and I would get mad and say, "You got to use the Bible," and that's true. You got to use the Bible as your litmus test, but at the same time, you're in it. Do you really think that this right here, these birds, these cars, that stoplight, you think that's outside the Bible? No. None of this is outside the Bible. The clouds, the blue, the building over there. None of this is outside the Bible. So there's a pattern in the dirt, in the grass, in these signs, in these cars, in these clouds, in these. There's a pattern in all this. And if you find the root pattern, you can decode this reality. Now, if you don't use the Bible as your litmus test, you're going to go off on a tangent and you're going to end up worshiping a piece of the pie instead of the whole pie. See that right there, one? You think that's not in the Bible? Oneness with Jesus? You think him carrying that blue bag and him wearing a blue coat is not in the Bible? Yeah, it's all patterns. It's all patterns. You think these telephone poles with a cross member, it looks like a cross up there, you think that's outside God's creation? No, it's all patterns. Well, man did that. Did he? Did he? Did God know that man was going to make telephone poles before he made them? Yeah. Did God know that there's uprights? When Jesus went to the cross, did he know that there were going to be telephone poles before Jesus? Yeah. And there's a transformer on the pole. When you look to Jesus, you get transformed. Look, that looks like the cross, and it's got a transformer. The exchange life. You got to go to the cross to be transformed. Come on, people. It's time to wake up, legalists. Your 501(c) has blinded you to deep spiritual truth. Instead of going straight to God, you got to go to some pastor or some theologian. And what does that mean? Ask God. A theologian's fine. But if I can look at a telephone pole and it looks like the cross, and I see some transformers attached to it, then you run to the cross and you get transformed. You get a new heart. 480 volt will kill you, and it's transformed to 220 and 110. It's got to kill you. You got to die to your own will, your own understanding. And it blows your mind. Why are there lights on the pole? Well, if that looks like the cross, and there's lights on the top, Jesus is the light of the world. The cross is beaming out a light to the whole world. So I used to get mad because I had this little tiny view, this little small consciousness view based on some kind of redneck preacher somewhere. And my mind, as I was moving from redneck flesh mind to spirit mind, the mind of Christ, as I was moving, these rednecks wanted to keep you in their little box. And every time you leave one box and another box, they want to keep you in that box. They don't want you to be see, when the baby's in the box, it don't want to be birthed. It loves its comfort. It loves its peace and its security of that mother. But when God says it's time for you to be birthed out of the box, it's painful. She has to push the baby out. The baby has to be birthed out of that box. So every little box, you get birthed to the next box, to the next one, until you get the mind of Christ and you're outside of all boxes. And then when you get outside the box, everybody's your enemy because they're all in boxes. They're all slaves. They're all in strings. They're in strings and nets and boxes and cubes. And they're in slavery. But they think they're free, but they're not. They're in a box, in a box, in a box. When I go in this building, I'm going into a box, right? And it's going to have an atmosphere about it. It's going to have this Taco Bell atmosphere. Going into the entrance, it's a trance. As soon as I open this door, there's a different, it's a cult. I'm going into a cult because it's a 5013C cult. I entered into the box. I gotta be careful. I'll cut my head off if I say the wrong thing.